Yeah, up here I come out here, do a little longer video of looking over my trees, kind of explaining what I'm wanting to do with them in development and where I'm at on some others. Now, to forgive me with my videoing, I'm using my phone so it can get bouncy. I may be out of focus, all that, but I'll do my best. First off, there's Miss Bear. Still got to clean up my area where I've been working on getting new boards down for benches. This here's a ginkgo. It's kind of, well, it's multi-trunk, but I call it my single ginkgo because it's not in a forest planting. Let it grow. Hopefully I can get better branching on it a little bit. So it's still well in development. This here is a collected American hornbeam. I collected it back in 2008. It was roughly a 1 to 3 year sapling. The trunk was no bigger than this branch. The trunk is natural. It already had the curve in it when I found it and collected it. It was once part of a 5-tree forest or a cycee type planting with rocks and like a riverbed separating the 5. That's the only one that survived. But it's still in development, still got a ways to go. Here's the oldest tree in my collection. It's a Japanese black pine. Originally got it about late 2007 or early 2008 from George Miranaka out in California. He used to list on eBay. And I remember the description at that time, it was already 25 years old. But it's still in development after all these years. Trying to get it the back bud and be branches so I can get branches a little bit closer. You can see all the pollen sacs on it. These here are just Procumbens junipers, all in various heights. They're all still in well early development. So I'm just letting them grow this year. I gotta get some wire off some of these guys before it starts biting in. Here's a Japanese red pine that I got as a seedling. There's some extreme bending in it. I'm trying to keep that twist separate so it doesn't grow into itself, but I've already started to move it more into a refinement. Some of these thick branches will be cut back or removed completely. So here's a Japanese beech. It's long, thin, branches are leggy. I've been working my butt trying to get it to bud more closer on the trunks, or on the branches I mean, and on the trunk I'm starting to get some. You can see there. Oops, sorry about that. And right in here. Other than that, I ain't getting too much back budding, but hopefully I will. It's definitely a long journey in development. There's a bald cypress I've had for almost 15 years. I've been doing bonsai for 17. It was one I played with when it was young. Put a lot of bends in it. This would have been the original trunk line. It's completely healed over. I'm working to try and get it to be a flat top, a small one. This here is one of my newest acquisitions. It's a Japanese maple, Shishigashira, or lion's head, lion's mane. It got repotted in the better soil. Had some freezing temps here a while back, so some of the leaves got burnt, but not a whole lot. Just gonna let it recover this year from the repotting. There's my smaller Procumbens Cascade, letting it go, just let it get healthy. So here's an Itiwagawa Shimpaku. It's had a rough life. One of them I left down here when I moved away for stupid reasons that I'm not going to get into. But it comes out, does decent, then it wants to kind of fail a little bit. Of course, that was kind of broke. I think this is the third time I've had it wired. I'll have to get the wire off and just trying to get as healthy as I can for a semi-cascade. This here is Bald Cypress PV Minaray. That's from an air layer I took off of it last year, and this is the air layer. It ain't producing no growth but down there at the bottom. So all the rest, all that top is probably dead, but that's alright. Something to play with down the road. But this is still well in development. I wish it would branch out more than the branches I've already got. This here is my large Procumbens Juniper Cascade. It got a bigger pot, or heavy pot, and I had to rig this up. I know I've used milk crates, that's all I got for support and legs for out here, but they do the job for me. I'm no business, and nobody comes here to visit anyway. I put some rocks in the second one and the third one to help weight it down, and put this big quartz rock on this side to counterbalance the weight. This rock come out of the Pisgah River up in North Carolina. Alright, let's see what else we got here. We'll start back here. Really can't go no further. That's a Chinese elm. It sprouted from a root, severed root. That and the blue colander is an American elm. It's once part of a 3-tree forest, and this is the only one left. You can see the original part died where it's coming out the bottom. This here is just call it the ugly ginkgo. It's got one growing. This here's a chalk maple. You can see that branch broke, but it's still hanging on, and the buds are pushing on it. Come around here. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. The red bud's starting to push, so it's still alive. But I'm gonna have to probably use that bud right there just beside the break, because that was part of the primary thought. It was going to be the one branch that crossed the main trunk. So it's going to have, it's been pushed back several years. There are just some Japanese beauty berries starting to leaf out. All these here, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 may be dead, but I'm going to still hang on to them because they will sprout from the roots. They're all Princess Persimmons. And out of all of them I have here, these are the only ones making these little pods. So I don't know if they're female or male. And these two are in, they got repotted last year. But out of all these here, that's what, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Only this one is showing it's either going to be flowers. I don't know if it's going to be male flowers or if it's going to be female flowers. But they're definitely still well in development. There's another Procumbens juniper. It's in between a cascade and a semi-cascade. This here's a American hornbeam. I think it was one I did not use in my 5/4 composition from that other one. And it just been growing, grow through its pot, grow through a mortar tub and into the ground. And I collected it last year. Oh. Yeah, I collected it last year, reclaimed it. And then I took an air layer off of it. I'm just letting it go this year. It's going to get repotted next year, hopefully. These here Japanese black pine I have in net pots, and they're in a Boone mix. Some of these I'm going to set inside pond baskets and try a growing technique that Bjorn Bjornholm has used. This here is, it's a Shinpaku juniper, but the certain strain of it comes from Ishii Nursery out in California, and the foliage was grafted onto San Jose stock. It's looking better. I had to treat it for mites. It's late winter. From what I've been told, they don't produce significant regular, whippy growth like others. For example, like this here, this is supposed to be a kishu. See how it's got the long, this doesn't do that. It's more slow growing. I've had it for a few years now. Yeah, like I just said, all these are supposed to be kishu. If they're not, I'm fine with them. They're nice little short, small, stocky little junipers. I got repotted this year. They're in a Shohin mix because I like trying to make these small. You just dead its twig out of there. I'll let these recover. Maybe I'll wire in the fall or late winter or early winter, because it'll still be warm here in early winter. Moving around. This is my ginkgo forest. I was hoping to get it repotted so I can get all that oxtail out of there. But it's starting to sprout, so I'm going to have to wait another year. That's almost like an Ogon sedum. It's the only piece I have left out of a bunch of it I had. This is my Dawn Redwood Ogon. Some people might want to say Gold Rush, but it's not the same as a Gold Rush. I've done my research, and there is sort of a difference in slight growing habit and color. These will stay more chartreuse yellow for a long time before they'll kind of go out to green or a light green. I have not, the only thing I've done is repotted it every so many years, and I really ain't got a way or designed yet for it. May eventually just put it in the ground. It'd be an ornamental tree. The 5 round pots are pond cypress. Here in this tub with some water to help keep them wet. Hopefully they'll thicken in bases. These 5 that are in the grow bags are Montezuma cypress. But some say Montezuma cypress is just a Mexican version of the ball cypress. Now, it's an area that typically you don't have ball cypresses anymore. But hey, if they're just the same as a ball cypress, so be it. I like ball cypress. Here's my Japanese maple katsura. Finally got repotted this year into a good soil mix. I'm letting it flush out, and then it's going to get cut back hard. I mean, you can see, because this branch here is well over 3 feet. But I took an air layer off of it, which I'll get to a little bit later on. It's a massive Dawn Redwood. Trunk chopped it. There's 2 more back there with a Japanese maple that also got trunk chopped. Behind that Dawn Redwood is more Chinese elms that sprouted from severed roots. I don't think I had the energy to ever dig them up. Oh well. This is American hornbeam that I air layered off that one I just showed you here a few minutes ago. It's leafing out pretty good. These here are Satsuki azaleas. That's Kingetsu. That's Matsunami. This is Miyama Mengetsu. This is either Chikiyuho or Chikiyajo. Don't know yet. But I have another one that might show me if it is. This is Satsuki azalea Kobai number 2. It's called number 2 because this probably being a rooted cutting was taken off a number 2 branch, which would have a light color, solid color, and a dark. Number 1s would have the variegated flowers, which would be kind of reddish or dark plum and light. Because the number 3, they would be all dark. And I had a Kobai regular one a long time ago, but for whatever reason it died on me. This is a big Wakabisu Satsuki azalea. This here is a Haru no Hibiki. It's a hybrid Satsuki azalea. I say most likely it probably comes from Nutzio's out in California that's now closed. A long time ago I bought 3. Found them on eBay. Kept one for myself. Gave one to Bonsai Nursery that we attend for our meetings. I gave one to my mom. Well, mine perished up in Indiana. That's, related to that other story. But this one is one I, in fact, gave Mom. Now, apparently my dad had kept mowing it over for years and years. So it was just a little bare, like 2 to 4 inches off the ground. So I reclaimed it. I've always loved the flowers, but this is the first time I've seen it do solid flowers on it. That one back there is a Satsuki azalea Juko. That's a Gaio Kudo number 1. Gaio Kudo number 2. This is Chikuho. So I don't know if this is the same as that other one. But I'll find out. Oh, can't remember the name of this one. I got it wrote down in the house. I have to put me a tag out here. But it's exposed root. This is an air layer off our yard azalea Corabels. This is a Karinku. That's a Chinzan. That is a Wakabisu. This is a Rukazan, small. This is Haru no Sono. Another Matsunami. This is Momo no Haru. And then this one back here is another Miyanga Mangitsu, or however you want to pronounce it. This one here is Kekiao no Hikari. I had to put it on the floor. It keeps getting blown over. Just wanted to get it repotted. Couldn't do it. This one here is a Kimi no Hana. It ain't looking good. I removed the flower buds that was going to set on it. This is my second one I had. The first one I had, I don't know why it died. But this one don't look too good. I got some rooted cuttings I took 2 years ago. So now them rooted cuttings of this, I'll be out of this particular variety because I can't get any more like this one. These couple here are American Beech. This is my Stewartia, which I think is dead. These are Osage Orange. Always loved those trees when I was growing up in Indiana. See what I can do with maybe one or two of them. If not, I'll put them in the ground. Those are Mer Maples. Here's some more American Beech. They're just starting to swell and push open. These are, I think they're the Chinese quince, not the Japanese quince, but they produce bright red double flowers. I've got some pods I might be able to collect. They were kind of a big clump. There's 1, 2, 3, 5 that I was able to separate. They're still well in development. This here, known in the States as pink pearl. It's a Kurume azalea, so coming from Japan it was known as Azuma Kagami. This is an air layer off one that's in the front yard. This here to me looks like another Kurume, and it would be called Snow. I've had Snow before, but this is also an air layer off one in our yard. Here's a dwarf crepe myrtle called Pocomoke. Starting to leaf out pretty good. Hopefully maybe it'll flower some this year. This here is a Satsuki azalea. One of my new acquisitions from last year. It's called Hinomaru. Flowers look like the Japanese flag, the rising sun. And there's my number 6 Monterey cypress, Montezuma cypress, excuse me. I just didn't have room in that tub. Here's a dawn redwood. Got some movement in the trunk. I put in it when it was young. I can start getting some little bit better branching. Got a ways to go. These are just plain Acer palmatum seedlings. The taller ones sprouted last year. All these short ones came up this year. More come up this year than last year. So if you're ever doing Japanese maple seeds and you don't get as much the first time they sprout, let them be. Because the second year they'll probably come up. I had this happen with a mortar tub full with about 6,000 Bloodgood Japanese maple seeds. First year, less than 100 come up. Second year, probably close to 3,000 come up. So, if you don't get what you want first year, leave them be and you'll get them next year. This is Kurenai Jishi, or the red lion's head. This one here is called Little Ann's Jewel, which was sent to me by mistake. It's supposed to be in a Katsura Hime. But I'll keep it, might put it in the yard. This is Hime Shoujo. And this one back here is Murasaki Kiyohime. They're just starting theirs off. I repotted them this year. Here's my large dawn redwood forest. Almost 20 years I spent thinking of this idea. Well, before I even knew anything about bonsai. So I just like plants in general, and I always loved dawn redwood because they've been around since the age of dinosaurs, and I grew up as a kid loving dinosaurs and, you know, the horror movie monsters and Godzilla and all that stuff. But I finally brought it to fruition a few years ago. It's coming along nicely. This moss is all natural. I did not plant any live moss on this thing. It was covered in milled white sphagnum moss, or New Zealand moss, or orchid moss, depending on where you get it. But all this, I know it's not the most ideal moss, but I don't care. I just have to try and keep it off the trunk, which I'll work on that Thing it is, this is a two-man job. To move it, I had to have my brother come help me. We put boards underneath that slate slab to pick it up. Excuse me. Well, that was refreshing. I apologize for that. Yeah. Ooh. You only sneezed twice, but that was three. This is Shinpaku juniper called Fudu. You got repotted into a pond basket. I showed you the PV Minaray earlier, this air layer. This is my large Arukazan azalea. I just have little knickknacks. These are ginkgo. They were from rooted cuttings. These two here in these pots are from rooted cuttings. They're older. Here's an unknown Acer palmatum. It's the only one that's sprouted from seeds that a friend of mine let me collect off his tree. This back here in the turtle shell pot, it's just a swamp maple, Acer rubrum. Cascade is one. That little curl there, that little blue pot is one. This here's a twin trunk. This is a little Korean hornbeam. They're all just growing now. This is a Kingsville boxwood. Come from Mark Comstock. Sold the one I kept. I had two. I sold the other one years ago. These here are Japanese maple, Acer shirishwanum, sometimes called golden full moon or areum. They have big fan-shaped leaves, and I'm going to have a lot of seed pods this year on them. I repotted these pond baskets. I didn't do any root work, just maybe worked out old soil. If I trimmed any roots, very little, because eventually I'm going to go below the graft union and air layer it. The trunk will be shorter, the graft's closer to the soil level. I had some years ago that perished. They were looking good as actual bonsai trees. I was getting good branching on them. So I'm trying again. Here's a Japanese black pine all pretzeled up. I got it last year, repotted this year. Here's a Mugo pine from, 2 years ago. And in the past I've never had good luck with Mugos, but apparently I am with this one. Here's an Atlas cedar. I think it's more of the golden kind. I can't remember this blue juniper. I don't think it's a blue rug. It's not a blue star. So here's a variegated Parsons juniper that I deal with. It'll look good this time of year, but then the foliage starts to die off. And you can see where it did on this. This was going to be kind of a cascade. I was working on bending. This was actually more straight up. But I ain't bothered messing with it anymore until I actually see it being fully healthy. Here's a Zelkova. Start off as a seedling. There's a European beech. This big thing here is a Chinese pistachio. I say it's probably rooted in the ground by now. I ain't done a thing with it since a friend of mine let me dig it out of his greenhouse. There's the Phoenix azalea. It was damn near on death's door, but now it's come back. Here's, I really can't say a twin trunk, but yet the roots are fused together for both trees. This was once part of a multi-tree forest planting in a large mica oval. There's only two that survived, and they actually went through the bottom of the pot and into the ground. And yes, I know, I gotta get the weeds out of it and get the old fertilizer bags off of it. Here's one of my Carolina hemlocks. This is the other. This is the air layer off the parent Katsura. I did the Ebihara technique, so it's screwed to the bottom of the board underneath all this soil. And it seems to be doing pretty good, and it's actually naturally putting out small foliage, even with me fertilizing it all last year. It was probably removed 2 years ago from the parent. These are some more Japanese beauty berries. Scraggly looking now. This here is it's a boxwood. I can't remember which one. I had two different ones. One was called Emerald Green, the other one was called Velvet. I sold one to a buddy of mine in Texas. Naturally exposed root because it was neglected and the soil kept falling out because it kept getting blowed over. But it's doing healthy so far. This is an American beauty berry that has purple berries. Red Buckeyes from seeds I collected. See those trees in a row there in the front? Those are all Buckeyes from seeds I collected up in North Carolina. My dad loved them because they always I remember when I was a little kid, he'd always have a Buckeye in his pocket, no matter where he went. This here is an American beauty berry that's supposed to have white berries, but it's slow to start putting out new growth. These here are the Satsuki Azalea cuttings that I took about 3 years ago. This long lanky thing here coming out is an ume. Some more mer maples. Oh, I'm getting more variegation. I got a bunch of seedlings from a local bonsai nursery. They were seedlings that come from seeds that were collected off of Mikawa, Yatsubusa. So I bought a flat of them. And out of all of them that I got, I've sold at least half of what I had. This is the only one, this tall one right here. It's the most biggest out of all of them that's growing. Produces the variegated leaves. I thought I wasn't going to have any this year, but it looks like I am. So this will be 4th year to have variegation. All the rest of them, they're crammed together. You can see, I got one in here marked because it actually had tight internodes to begin with. This here is just regular Acer palmatum. These are ginkgo rooted cuttings. I'll have to get them repotted and separated next year. Some more red Buckeyes. Gotta clean my ground here with the blower. These are my trees. Probably didn't go into a whole lot of detail what I'm doing with what, but majority of my trees are definitely in development. Some I've just recently removed into refinement. Some I can say already are in refinement, like the Satsuki Azalea, that lion's head. Keeps me busy. I know somewhere down the road I might have to lighten my burden. These are Chinese elms. Let me show you this. It's actually, think to yourself, bushy tree. It's actually bushy trees, plural. There's two of them. Let me come around here. See if I can bend over without killing myself. One tree, two trees. And they all sprouted from severed roots left in the ground. I have to keep it whacked back. And this little thing underneath here, that's another Chinese elm. So if they root through their pot into the ground, and you cut the roots and leave the roots in the ground, they will sprout another tree. These days I may dig them up, then again I may not. Leave that to somebody else. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. If you watch it, no one watches it, I'm fine with that as well. I'll be posting this on my YouTube channel, which would be, my handle will be at Shinrin Kanen. That's SHINRINKOENEN. My research is supposed to, I know KOEN and then EN can mean the same thing as garden. Shinrin is supposed to mean woodland. It's not woodland garden. My last name is Koenig, Koenig, which is German for king. So I kind of use the first four letters of my last name for the KOEN and Shinrin Kanen. So it would mean woodland king garden. I'm not going to be probably no YouTube expert. I'm not going to probably do a whole lot of videos, you know, like once a week or whatever. But I'll try to post things on here just in general about my trees when I can. But I hope y'all enjoyed this, and see you around on the next video. Later.